Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Talking Horses. It's truly morning, Sarah.
It's
a beautiful morning.
It is, but it's quite early. It's a little shocked, but it's nice out at least.
Well, you haven't been here, so we've had a few of these early morning Talking Horses.
I know, I'm not used to it yet.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I mean, it's nice that we're still on the turf. We have 10 race cards. We got a terrific card today, a lot of stakes. We'll talk about them. In fact, we have so much to talk about. We're going to send you to NYRA Bets to start it out. Use the promo code BONUS200. We'll match the $200 of your initial deposit. Play through NYRA Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. We have a $22,000 631, 22,631 carry over the Big Six. That'll start in race number 5 of our 10 race card. We have a $5,000 hit and split. Opt in for this over at NYRA Bets. Late pick 5, which involves stakes, as all the big 5s involve stake today. And we have a $15 bonus if you're going to play Churchill and Del Mar today. Opt in for that. You'll bet 75 or more in each of them. You'll get a $15 bonus. And we have a show. The show is on from 11:30 to 1:48. The first 5 races. Hard out at 1:48. We will be on YouTube and available. And of course, you can watch through NYRA Bets as well for the rest of the card. Race number 1, we'll start out by showing Collect the Data, who I imagine is going to be a heavy favorite. This is one of the bring-back races from the cancellation dates last week, and she draws well on the outside. She's run fast figures, and Sarah, I think we agree. If somebody's going to beat her here, I don't know who it is. I feel like she can only beat herself.
I think the only thing that beats her is if she, for some reason, can't get the distance, which the stats suggest she should be able to. And Chad Brown stretching out sprints to routes at NYRA on the dirt. Over the past 5 years, he's 33%, 70% in the money with a $2.23 ROI. Pedigree maybe on the damn side, leaning a little bit sprinty, but I don't really see her having a big problem getting this mile distance against this field. And I thought that her last 2 races were just indicative of a horse that's in good form, came back in good form, and might be just a touch better than what she's facing in here.
You get no argument for me on any of that as we move on to race number 2. And I want to show Cyclonite, and I should have highlighted the horse that I picked in here, Landing Craft as well, a miss on my part. But, you know, I don't have any problem with Cyclonite. Got a very good trip, but really ran well last time, and it is the horse to beat. I think to argue against that is frivolous. However, Landing Craft is the horse in green behind it. And you can just see Ricardo wants to get out in the clear. He's got horses in front of him, a horse on his flank, and a lot of times horses in these positions, they just can't get their momentum going. And he's got to make up a 3-length gap, and it's not as though he has a bevy of fast races. But I think if you look at these horses before the last race, they're fairly even. And I don't want to take a short price on Cyclonite just because he won last, or almost won last time. And Landing Craft just didn't get that fair chance to run the race he wanted to run. So I thought I'd take a small shot with him to beat Cyclonite, who is the horse to beat.
Yeah, I think both of these horses have to be considered heavily in this spot. I kind of went in an odd direction in here, but I have nothing against either of them. I think that Landing Craft, you make a good point about how he didn't necessarily have that clear run at any point in that last race to get that momentum that he may have needed to do a little bit better in improving his position. And Cyclonite's fine, but he's proven a little bit that he's not exactly been a strong winning type overall, well, but at least he shows up and runs his race.
I think Landing Craft is kind of shown to be probably a little better on turf. As far as Tunisian Spring I actually have a replay of this horse going back to July of 2024, running second to 26 Black, who's obviously improved a lot since him. I'll let you talk about him, and I'll tell you my reservations, though I can understand the pick.
Yeah, I definitely have reservations as well. I mean, this was a race that was for Wesley Ward. He's now with John Kirby. He hasn't been on the turf since he's switched trainers. And while his dirt races have improved lately, and his last 3 races are a little bit more competitive than some of his prior efforts when switching barns, you do have to worry, is he going to get back to the same kind of form and be as competitive as he was for different connections? I wanted to take a chance that he might be a better turf horse overall. If that is the case, then we're going to see him improve on this surface, and a horse who's in good form right now. He's also had some difficult trips in a couple of his turf starts.
Yeah, the problem I have, and I see all that, and I don't think it's an unreasonable opinion, especially to have at a price, and I obviously consider this horse. I sent that replay in, because I do think he's a horse worth talking about in this race, and I can absolutely understand taking him. His turf races are good enough that he can compete here. But as you say, they're for Wesley Ward, and the problem I have is that he ran some pretty good races on the dirt for Wesley, pretty fast races on dirt. And so I'm wondering a little bit if he necessarily is better on turf, and if you know, Wesley Ward is not, I'll put it this way, there's not too many trainers I respect more than Wesley with these kind of horses, and I just have some concerns. I also, frankly, and I'm not looking to pick on the rider, he's coming in from out of town, and he's riding in tricky turf sprints against some pretty crafty riders.
This is not a bad field.
I think at 15-1, he is enormously usable in this race. I completely agree with your idea here. I just decided to leave him out. I probably should have put him fourth.
If he was a different price, I would have gone in a different direction.
Yeah, I can understand. So. I think Bergen is very dangerous in here. His last race was bad.
Yes.
There is no doubt about it. And interestingly enough, it seemed like even though the course was firm and the time was fast enough, they were kicking it up a little bit. Now, we had some brief showers, so maybe we'll be kicking up a little today, even though we're listed as firm. He has races, you know, that race behind Run Curtis Run. I know it's kind of a suck-up second, but still Run Curtis Run, who would be very tough to beat in this field.
Who is a competitive
type, I don't want
to
completely dismiss him at a price. So I thought he was a usable horse in this race, and obviously so is the 9 Vacation Dance, who, you know, has races that are fast enough to win here.
Absolutely. I think he's one that we've kind of been chasing for that first victory in a while. He's run well against Uralo, a set, even that race 2 back. I thought it maybe last time not exactly a step in the right direction, but he does get Flavien Prat today.
And I left Operation Torch in there for Jimmy Toner. I know it's not a pedigree to go short, but this horse actually has some ability, and it is kind of an interesting spot for Jimmy, and I have so much respect
I think
for
he
Jimmy.
comes back in
an
interesting
as well. It's a
position.
fun race, actually, and
no, it's
you know,
a good
we're going to
race.
miss these races because turf season's coming to a close after next weekend, and I think, you know, one of the things nice about this time of year is that people really want to run. So you don't see a plethora of scratches in the races. People really want to get their chances to get in because they know there's really no tomorrow for these horses. Race number 3 is the Dwyer, and even though we have 2 scratches, the big 4 stay in the race. And it is a very competitive 4. And, you know, in moving the race, you know, it's easy to be critical and say, well, you only got 4 horses. But the reality is this is a much deeper field than we've had in recent runnings of the Dwyer, which, you know, domestic product last year, I think he made about 210, and he won by 10 lengths. We've seen just uncompetitive runnings of this race, and in moving it, we get a field where every single horse that's left in is evidenced by our picks, which are a bit different. We'll start with Disco Time, who we have second, and I'm going to tell you, if he is able to duplicate this performance,
he wins.
I know it was in, you know, at Fairmount Park, which is a question, and it was so much better even with Timon's other races. He's going to win this race, but I think both of us think there's a chance that he won't repeat it. You let us know why you have him second.
Yeah, look, I think that he's one that he was able to secure the front end and just go gate wire in that last start at a short price and really draw off well. It was a return race. I think it's completely possible that he's just an improved horse overall. But at the same time, his 3 prior races don't necessarily give him the edge that I thought the price that he might be would suggest. And so him coming in and hoping that he runs that last race and probably having to do it a little bit differently, having to deal with some other speed types in here. He's done it before, but I just want to see it again.
I think that's the point, is we show the horse you have on top, Tip Top Thomas, who we disagree about. I don't like him at all, but I think that he is a potential problem for Disco Time. Disco Time has no problems rating and winning, as evidenced by his form, but what he has is a giant figure when he got loose in the lead.
Right.
And with Tip Top Thomas, he's not getting loose in the lead. I don't think Tip Top Thomas is good enough to win this race. You clearly disagree.
I do, and I think that he's one that's going to be forward in here. And look,
he's got to be in front.
Crudo has speed. They're putting the blinkers on, but I think that Tip Top Thomas with that inside draw, as well as his ability to show that he can really do well at some of these shorter distances.
Well, Crudo couldn't run with him unless he came out of the gate.
I think that he's going to be clearly in front here, and that might just be enough. Maybe he's not quite good enough, and we do have other horses in here that are perhaps a little bit more stakes-faced or on the rise than he is, including Stars
he won the
and
Indiana
Stripes.
Derby. I mean, I don't know about that. The Stars and Stripes never run a stake race.
But he's
the horse.
shown that he's capable of showing up against quality company, as he did when he was a 2-year-old. I thought he ran much better than I expected back when he was in the Champagne, finishing second, and he's just been able to build on that form and have a good, consistent 3-year-old year so far.
Well, yes. No question about it. I mean, he has one bad race. His race coming back as a 3-year-old is the only time he ran badly. I don't disagree. I don't like the fact that he prepped to run the Pennsylvania Derby. They didn't run him there. And now we see him 2.5 months later from that race. And when he won the Indiana Derby, he rode a significant bias to win that race. I think that's a completely phonied up fig. As much as I respect Fact, I don't think we'd like Fact in this race, the horse he beat last time. No. And I think you've got Disco Time, you know, sort of leaning on him in this race at some point. And Stars and Stripes we go to, and Stars and Stripes is a horse to bet in the come. But he's going to be third choice in this race. He's obviously got to get faster, but he doesn't have to get that much faster. If you look at some of the progression, cuts back from 1 1/8 to a mile. Feels like Bill has been sort of waiting for this spot for a while with him. And I just going to take him a little bit on the come here. I don't like the horse you picked, Tip Top Thomas, and I do respect Disco Time and consider him the horse to beat, but I think that this one might be the one who has a chance to really step forward. Though also, I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to be shocked when Crudo runs well.
Yeah.
I think Crudo's actually okay, and I think the mile might hit him right between the eyes.
You know, I think the only thing that's kind of deterring me from Crudo is just that they are trying to figure out something that works best for this horse and trying the turf, trying the blinkers now, and they're kind of just tinkering with different ideas for him to try to figure out where he can be his absolute best. But he's already shown that he's certainly capable.
Yeah, well, he's never shown that he's capable of winning this race. He doesn't have a single speed figure that's that's good enough to beat any number these other horses are running. So you got to hope that he improves getting back to the dirt and cutting back in distance a little bit. Maybe that's what'll work for him. I think that's what Todd is looking for. As you say, I think you're right. They're trying to find a home for him. He's obviously doesn't have any oomph on the turf. He's okay, but he's not going to win stakes on the turf against meaningful fields. He didn't really get any better. He didn't get any worse. He's got to hope that he gets better in this race.
Agreed.
Race number 4, going 7 furlongs to Pumpkin Pie, a race that's brought back, and obviously you're running the Pumpkin Pie a week after Thanksgiving. Something went wrong there. And we'll start with Way the Ricks. What?
Halloween.
I know, but I'm saying it's run for Halloween, and we're a week after Halloween. We canceled for Halloween.
Well,
that's why the race is this week. Oh, Thanksgiving. I'm sorry. You're right.
Which is an important holiday as well.
Well, that's when we eat pumpkin pie.
Exactly.
Anyway, we'll take a look at Weigh the Risks. I'm going to be curious to see who's favored between these two horses. And the recency for me with Weigh the Risks, the concern with Weigh the Risks is she a better horse with Lasix? Well, I'm not so sure how true that is, because she got beaten by a huge bias on February 22nd in that race, and she didn't really run that much worse than some of her other races. So while she may have some issues that caused her to need Lasix, she ran well enough without it, and I took her with her recency and her good outside post in here, and I'm curious. I'm not sure she's going to be favored in this race, because Nick Style is a tough one to resist, given that she's stake-faced. She's 7 for 8 lifetime with her only loss to Ways and Means.
Right.
And, I mean, she beat Art Disaster last time. So 2 horses are similar price on the board. I'm wondering who will be favored here.
I think that this was probably not a super easy decision for David to go with one or the other, but if you look at the last race and you expect it to happen again for a horse like Weigh the Risks, it is a standout number. Now, I hear you on the Lasix argument. I think that she's one that is glaring to me about her past performances, just that 101 buyer is quite a bit faster than any of her other dirt races that we've seen so far. Now, is she one that I was against that bias?
Wait a second. She ran a 96 buyer in her first dry track dirt race, so it's not quite a bit faster. It's somewhat in line.
She has 2 in the 80s and the high 80s.
She does.
One was against a bias.
She was against the bias. I'm just saying it's not as though she hasn't run big figures before. That figure doesn't come out of nowhere. That's all I'm saying.
But with Nick Style, I think that debating favoritism, her last 3 races have been in the mid 80s. Not that she's not run faster races before. So maybe it's something that stands out more so on recency and what have you done for me lately. And Nick Style is also the one that is coming off that little bit of a layoff, but I'm with you. I couldn't resist this one, and I thought that she was one that if she wasn't favored, she probably deserved to be.
6 to 12 month layoffs in the dirt at Naira Bilmott's 15 for 60, 15 for 60, 25% and a 242 ROI. He brings them back, and he brings them back ready to run. But I think your point about the kind of numbers she's been running in her recent races, they're not. It's her early races were much faster.
They were.
Her last 3 races, not that fast. Now, that concerns me a little bit. You got to lay off horse because, listen, speed figures aren't everything, but you're matching up her best recent efforts are actually a little below the worst races on the dirt for Weigh the Risk. Because if you take a look at Weigh the Risk, you're really almost supposed to draw a line through every race that she ran before November 16th, because her only race in the dirt was a sloppy track.
Right.
And the only thing I'll say about Chad Brown is, and I'm sure he would agree with me, I can't tell you how many times in there he told me I'm going to run her on the dirt. I think she's probably a dirt horse. I think I'm getting her wrong. Then, unfortunately, she ran the slop at Churchill, and he gave up again, and he put her on the turf before he finally said, oh, I've wanted to run her in the dirt, and then he realizes, geez, I've wasted a year of her career by running the wrong surface, even though I knew it was probably the wrong surface. If somebody wins besides these 2 horses, and I think Scalable is a little interesting, it'll be surprising. The problem with Scalable is she really only has 1 race. and she got a
No
pace
early
that collapsed that
speed,
day,
yeah.
and it doesn't feel like they're going to be flying out front
I
in this
agree.
race. And man, I know it was her first race back, but she didn't lift a hoof.
She did no
She'll
running.
run better today. She better run a lot better.
Right. That last race did not entice me much so as a horse that's going to be likely the third choice in here, fourth choice with Patricia Ann, possibly taking some money as well. But look, she has the races to go back to. She could build off of that 3-year-old form.
One race. One
She has
race.
the race to go back to. I just didn't really see this race setting up for her that much, and I thought she was running into some tougher company.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think St. Benedict's Prep was interesting. Linda left her in here, though she doesn't have too many options with a horse with no conditions left. Race number 5, going 6 furlongs on the turf. Let's take a look at the race that Bella Rosa, I think, finished second in, and Sweet Rhythm ran 4th in there. And the horse that we like ran 8th. I didn't really highlight her, but why don't you talk about why you like Chat-A-Lot out of that race?
Yeah, I thought this horse just really didn't have the best of trips first time out in that sprint race, where this one was a little bit slow coming out of the gate. I thought that she was never really able to get over towards the inside in the stretch, and just seemed like a horse that kind of needed that first race. Perhaps could do better this time around, and I thought that she was close enough early on to a pace that was honest, where maybe she just got tired late.
Well, you know, I saw a little differently, to be honest. I think, you know, Chat-A-Lot's a horse that had so much trouble in there that even Joel Rosario had to steady her. And he steadies about 1 horse a year. So if you see him steady a horse, you know they're in legit trouble. Because he just doesn't panic. He doesn't, it's just not the way he rides. A lot like Ramon Dominguez. And if you watch the head, I mean, she got absolutely slammed. The 4-horse slams into her, knocks her out into the horse outside of her, the 6-horse, and had significant trouble in there. And I agree, you know, she's not that far out of it. And we have no idea if she can't be a little bit close to the pace because she had so much trouble in there. And I thought she ran well enough considering that. And, you know, I mean, Bella Rosa can win, but she's had her chances. I mean, she ran fine. I don't have a big problem with her. I just kind of wanted other horses in this race. And Sweet Rhythm's another one. I thought that she ran well for Linda, and Linda's horses improve a lot second time out.
Yeah, and I thought that she was one that made up some good ground in that spot as well, where she was a little bit further back and was able to at least commence a rally to get herself into things late in that spot. She didn't take any money first time out, but that's typical generally of the Linda Rice first time starters. And I don't have anything against either of these horses. And I think the main interesting first time starter is the one who ended up scratching out of this race. So I opted for somebody that could take a step forward this time.
How is South Philly Slide going to compete against these horses?
She needs to improve, but I just thought that she was one that has at least shown that she's capable of sprinting on the turf versus a couple of these others where we're expecting them to do better this time.
Okay, I didn't see it. I mean, the 3rd horse should have won that race last time. I think the horse to beat is the 7 Fraudster, and I actually don't think it's close. And I considered putting on top. Thought we'd probably get a better price with the 5, so I put her on top. But I think the 7 is a much more likely winner in here. Her race behind Deep Learning, she wasn't on the rail. The rail was the place to be, and she runs that kind of race. She's going to be very tough in here. And then her last race, she was bad. There's no doubt about it, and there's some concerns. As far as the turnbacks with Todd, it's really funny to take his numbers apart. He's 3 for 35 turning back on the turf overall, and 3 for 26 at NYRA. But he's got a $1.96 ROI. But when you break it down to maidens, he's 3 for 11 overall with maidens turning back on the turf, with 6 hitting the board. And at NYRA, he's 3 for 9 with 5 hitting the board and an ROI of over $5.60. So for whatever reason, when Todd's been successful cutting his horses back, they've
like
been
this.
maidens and they've been at NYRA. Now, it's a small sample. It's 3 for 9. What I found more interesting was he has no success outside of maidens. Non-maidens, he's 0 for 24. That's, you know, for Todd Pletcher, that's a disastrously bad stat. So it shows when they're non-maidens, he does it. But with maidens, he's done pretty well. And this horse has a race that throttles this field. And she's not going to be 5-2. Her last race is concerning, but the stats are okay, and she could just be better than these horses.
She
Sarah.
could be. It's the last race that's a big concern.
I
for
understand,
me.
but she did run the other race.
She did. And
And she's
if she
not
was
5-2 or 2-1.
Sure. I mean, if she was coming in off of that race 2 back, though, wouldn't she be clearly favored?
She wouldn't be in here. You know, he
Okay,
wouldn't
fair.
run her short. And listen, maybe she fell apart and Todd's thinking, I don't know what to do with her. There's a turf sprint coming along. I'll take one shot with her, see if I should send her to Florida or what I should do with her. And he's just trying to figure it out. It's entirely possible because, no question, her last race is a joke. But Her other race is good enough. I just thought she was a little bit interesting as a different horse in here. And I don't think interesting. I think she's the horse to beat. You know, there's a funny horse in here also.
Who's that?
The 9.
Okay.
Well, another trainer turning back on the turf. Good stats, 3 for 9 with maidens, 5 for 26 overall. He's 1 for 1 in New York. And this horse is a full to that Gold horse. So this horse is something, a very, very good turf sprinter and a full.
Goldwood?
So you see Goldwood, you see Medaglia d'Oro, and you might say, oh, this horse probably wants longer. No, this horse probably wants shorter. I think that she's dangerous in this race.
So I have to spun in one.
Yes, that doesn't help with turf, but as
Absolutely
a half
not.
to, the Goldwood is very good. Very, very 9 for 18 turf sprinting. Thought that horse was a little interesting. It's a good race.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, we're done with the first half. Pick 6 starts in race 5, by the way. Carryover of 22,600 and change. We'll be back with the late pick 5 after a quick break.
You bet with Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Download the Naira Bets app to play today and get a $200 deposit bonus. Watch live horse racing. Get expert picks. Boost your bankroll with weekly promotions and hone your handicapping skills with exclusive tips and tutorials. Download the Naira Bets app now. Sign up now to claim your $200 deposit match bonus. You bet with Naira Bets.
Welcome back to Talking Horses. Sarah and Andy. Linda Rice has 2 in race number 6, and while we'll start off by showing Dreamlike, who you have second and I have third, you and I have both gone to wait list. But Dreamlike, who I know I wasn't a big fan of last time, he got bet, and he trounced the field.
He did.
And he certainly has no problem getting a mile and an eighth.
And look, this is one of those horses that just seem to have that serious second-itis and always seem to take money and wasn't getting the job done. But I agree, the last race was one where he was able to get the job. He was able to rally towards the outside. He generally gets bet and is one of the shorter prices in here. He has plenty of races that would make him fast enough to be competitive, and your favorite in this spot, I just don't necessarily trust him or want to take him on top.
Okay, so why do you like waitlist?
He's one that I liked in that last start where he was a bit of a price, and I think that he's, in general, a horse that I've been chasing a little bit, where he's been in against some tough company overall in his last couple of dirt starts, where we've seen those horses go on and be stakes-based horses or be ones that are improving dramatically. I think that if you go all the way back to his race behind a horse like Strategic Focus and Malarchuk at Saratoga was one that he outran his odds that day, and he's been doing so since then, running against Stars and Stripes. Then they tried the turf experiment. That didn't work out. Then he's running against Tuscan Gold and Classicist and was just never really in position in that race. And then V Cruiser improved and handled the stretch out well in that last start. But I like that Waitlist was a little bit closer to the pace in that spot. And I think that he's one that he has races to go back to. He might be overlooked in a spot like this. And I kind of liked the other Linda Rice in here.
Yeah, he was close to pace last time because they were crawling up front. That was the reason he was close, because God forbid any other rider here goes with John Velasquez and he goes to lead. And I applaud Johnny for doing it, and I roll my eyes at some of the riders that seem so intimidated by him. I think he ran fine last time. I think they are better horses. I agree with you, and I agree with all the things you said about him. And you know, he got a ridiculously bad ride 2 races back when he was, you know, it was a moderate pace at best, and he was at Home Depot or something. I mean, he was so far out of it, and he's got racing to win it. I agree. He's a horse I've wanted to bet against. You know, I bet going forward in some races. I thought, you know, you've got Georgia Magic, who looks like the speed for Ray, got to get the distance. Remarkably, I can't imagine he's not going to be forward here. I know the pace projector doesn't have him in the lead, but with that post stretching out, I mean, he's chasing Vetriano last time. You'd think he'd be forward in here. I think Chileno is more dangerous than you do. You think his form is just falling apart? I thought he was over his head last time, and he's got plenty of figures, and he can go the distance that make him. I think he's very logical in this race.
He's tough because he's just a hard horse for me to trust, where he does have those big numbers on occasion that could absolutely win here.
He doesn't win.
He doesn't win that often. Yep. He has faced some good company, and I don't want to hold that against him too much in here. But
hold it against him. He's faced good company.
I'm not going to do it.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing to face good company.
I know.
He lost to a horse who was in the Breeders' Cup Classic. What are you talking about?
I understand. What I'm saying is that
I'm getting, by the way, a contrary thinking hat.
Were you?
I'm getting a contrary thinking Breeders' Cup hat. It's
I
gonna
think
be
that's
my,
a good idea.
My prized possession.
I think that contrary thinking is really something that
I just
you
want
embody.
that. I want that.
It's a
I'm
good
getting
name
one
for you. Yeah.
I'm getting one.
I
Chad
support
has
it.
one for me. I'm getting one.
All right. Well, I support that notion. But
Thank
look,
you.
Chileno's
I'm
just
gonna
tough
wear
for
it
me
around
to
the
trust at a
office.
short price. Everyone's going to be jealous. Commuted.
Well, my hair will mess up what I got going on
Oh,
here.
your
you know.
hair's going to be messed
Yeah.
up? Oh, I have some hairspray. If you need
Thanks
some.
for that.
Commuted, he just seems like he has one way of going. And maybe that's enough, but we've seen him be successful when he's been able to secure the early lead. And
He's not going to do that with Georgia Magic in here.
Right. I think he had to fight for it a little bit last time, but at the same time, I just wonder if he's going to get the same kind of setup that's been successful for him in the past.
Commuted? Oh, he's 4-1 morning line. I think he's 40-1, but that's just me. I don't think he has a chance in this field. But Robbie, maybe you like to hear that. Race number 7, the Hill Prince. Hill Prince Camp, a really, really fun race. And we'll start with Stars and Strides, who you have third and I have third, as well as Griffin's Wharf, where you have second and I have fourth. Why are we picking against him, Sarah, and why do you prefer the Griffin Wharf horse?
I think that Griffin's Wharf was one that had a little bit of a tougher trip. I know that Stars and Strides was one that he does end up getting off the rail, and he tries to go to that spot in between horses, and then it seems as though he's really getting all that momentum going in here and just able to sprint away. But I thought that Griffin's Wharf had a little bit more difficulty in this race than he did.
Why? How?
I thought that he had to really kind of go between horses a little bit more than Stars and Strides did and make up that later ground versus...
Isn't the argument for him he's the controlling speed in here, Griffin's Wharf?
I mean, that's also part of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's to me, that's the only argument for him.
Okay.
I think he's had good trips in his races. I mean, I'm not saying he was too wide and Stars and Stripes on the rail and probably helped him a little bit, but he did lose by 3 lengths. He's just a speed, right? I mean, isn't that
I think so.
why he's dangerous? I think Stars and Stripes is dressed up, and he's going to be favored, and he's had incredibly good trips in his races. And while he's good enough to win here, the competition is steeper, and he's just coming off 2 perfect trip wins. That, to me, is the story with him. And, I mean, Griffin's Wharf seems like a danger to wire the field.
Well, and also Stars and Strides and Stars and Stripes running on the same card on the same day is confusing enough for us all. But look,
Not for me. I'm okay with it.
you're all right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I'm
All
handling
right.
it.
I'm glad that you're handling
I was an emotional wreck when I first saw it, but
yeah,
but
you're
I've
gonna
moved on.
make
I've
it
gotten
through.
some help.
Well,
and
you
I'm
know that
okay.
you're going to get your hat, so everything was okay. I think that for another horse that could potentially be forward, though, is the horse that I ended up going with on top.
Let's show the Kent with him running second to Soleil Volant.
Who is getting a rider change in here with John Velasquez, who you mentioned earlier. He's a rider that generally likes to have that forward position. The blinkers do come off this horse. He's had them on for every start prior to this, but he's also been one where he's been a bit tactical at times with where he's been positioned. And I just thought that lately they've been employing some more early speed with him. I don't think that the ground is going to be anything like it was last time out at Delaware.
Well, let me interject there.
Sure.
It's not soft.
No.
Delaware has a propensity to constantly be listing their turf as soft. Why? I'm not
Soft,
exactly
fast.
sure. But they don't go 150 and 3/5 for 9 furlongs on a soft course. It's a good
I
course. And I've seen this a lot with them where they've had it listed as soft and they're running like a second or two slower than they should in mile and 3/8 races. So I don't think, but you're right, there is some give in the ground. I'm not saying not, but I'd be very careful. I mean, it's like the opposite of Pimlico that lied about their turf condition
That's a good
on
comparison.
Preakness weekend. They're going the other way.
They are.
But I'm not going to knock the fact that he ran well with some give in the ground.
And I just mean that basically the courses that he will probably be handling today out there is not going to be quite the same as the one he had last time, but I don't think that that one is necessarily quite as far on the soft side.
I don't see him forward like you do in here because he's not faster than Noble Confessor.
Okay.
And I can't imagine with blinkers on and Kendrick with the rail that Kendrick's going to eagerly give the lead up to the number 2 here. And he's not in front anyway because I think the 7 will be in front of him. And I can't imagine Junior's not going to leave a little bit as well. I mean, I don't think there are a bunch of slow pokes in here. I'm not saying they're going to be flying, but
we'll
I don't
see
know. I mean, he can win. I'm not trying to say, I mean, he's a big price. You want to bet him, that's fine.
He's not a winning type
just
either.
Well, he's a big price, so it doesn't, I wouldn't worry about, you're splitting hairs a little bit on that one. Let's show Mayor of Midnight before we get to my selection here. He's a tricky horse in here because you've got a late season Chad Brown horse that's running speed figures that are fast enough to compete. Chad's barn is going well. He seems to be a bit improving, but is he really a horse that's going to be as efficient at 9 furlongs? And by running here, I think it says that Chad's thinking, is he a horse I can run in the sort of mile 16th, the mile and eighth turf stakes, or do I need to keep him going longer distances going forward? And it's a good place to find out late in the year.
Sure.
It's not like he has some other alternative to run him in.
Absolutely. And I think that this is a spot that fits a horse like this now. But I also sort of saw the same questions going on that you did, where this horse took a couple starts to break his maiden, then he has the 2 allowance tries. This is the first stakes try. If he was something that Chad thought more of, he would have been in a stakes race by now.
Well, no, because it took 3 starts to break his maiden, and he did it when he stretched out. Then things didn't work out for him in non-winners of 1 at Saratoga. Had he won that race, Chad probably goes to him, but he's got a non-winners of 1. He's got to figure out where he is with him. So I don't think anything, and I don't think there's any killers in this field.
No.
He can win. Distance to me is the question. I'm betting Tiz Dashing. I have had a
You
love
love
affair
this
with
horse.
Tiz Dashing. Well, I don't believe I've been wrong about him.
You haven't.
In my opinion, he was second best in the Manila. He attacked the pace, and Javier did the
He ran
right
very
thing
well.
in that situation because the way the racetrack was playing, and he got caught up off the rail the whole way. The rail was gold. The pace was too fast. His next race in the Hall of Fame, he got in some trouble in there. He was certainly a big part of the disqualification in that race.
Yep.
And then he went over to Kentucky Downs, where he was out in the middle of the racetrack the entire way around from post 13 in a 14-horse field. And frankly, he didn't even run that badly.
I agree.
Now, I don't love his post, but it's a pretty long run from the start at the top of the chute all the way to the finish. And Javier get position with him. I think he's proven to be every bit as good as these horses in the race, and he's not going to be bet like it. So I like him.
I think for a horse that you've been chasing, he has given you no reason to get off the bandwagon so far.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't, it's not like he's cost me a whole lot. It's like I need him for second in Manila. I didn't bet him in the Hall of Fame. And last time out, I'm not going to bet him from post 13 at that ridiculous place. But I think this might be a good spot for him, and I think his form is okay. But this is, listen,
This is a tough group.
I don't think there's anybody in here. I don't know how strong a group it is overall.
Competitive.
It's an incredibly competitive race.
with you.
I don't think it's full of no-hopers. I think you can make little cases for anybody, and you've made a case for a 12-1. We'll see how it works out. Race number 8. Race number 8, in my opinion, significantly changed because the 13 got in. And in my opinion, if Jack's World, he gets Pratt, he ran extremely well first time in a very good field. When he blew the brake, he got badly blind switched in upper stretch. He was coming at the end. He's got to overcome the post, but if he can, I just think he's an incredibly likely winner of this race.
Yeah, no, I think he's absolutely one that needs to be considered much more heavily than some others in here, because he is one that does draw into this field and has that good effort, even though he was compromised. And then I thought that even in that off the turf race, like, he ran okay in that spot as well. I only went to...
No, he didn't. He was second by default. He was beaten by 15.
Well, I
lengths.
mean, he got a 44 buyer, but
You don't have to compliment him. He ran like crap.
there's
That's why Linda
really
hasn't run
nobody
him.
in here
That's why
that's
Linda
so
hasn't run him on the
fantastic.
dirt since then.
Look, I think that he makes a lot of sense in here. I just kept my original top pick, who needs to get out of this third place itis that he's got going on, and make a prediction. But the blinkers do go on today for a horse that has at least been consistent over his last couple races, seems to be moving in the right direction, handled the stretch out in distance and still ran credibly, and that was his fastest race on buyers as of yet. And I just didn't really see anybody that had shown some consistency overall that I really wanted to take at a shorter price. Newland seems fine, but I just wanted to go with somebody who at least has been showing up multiple times.
If I want others, I want relative new faces to this group because I don't really think that much of horses like the 10 and 8. I had them 4th and 5th by default mostly in here. I think Kotlikov should not be ignored.
Yeah, that horse is interesting.
Dean Henry has produced Scythian 4 of 5 to try the Turf 1. I know Scythian was a Tis the Law. We'd have no idea if Tacitus can be an effective Turf stallion or not, but he's a horse that will very possibly improve on the turf for Bill. And I think Snickery is dangerous stretching out. He did not get the best of trips in there. It was very, very green running in there, in and out, back and forth, galloped out kind of well in there. And he's got a lot of turf pedigree, and I feel like Snickery is one that's going to really appreciate more distance. So my backups to the 13 will be 2 sort of less exposed horses in the 4 and 5. Race number 9, the Mother Goose. And I'll tell you, you talk about decisions by the racing office. The Mother Goose was dying on the vine. If you want to look up the history of horse racing, go through the winners of the Mother Goose. It is a who's who of some of the best horses to run on earth fillies, 3-year-olds you'll find. I mean, it's just a who's who of every good horse. And moving to the fall, I mean, this came up an absolutely sensational race. And David made Drexel Hill the morning line favorite. We'll take a look at finishing second to Kentucky Oaks. And I don't like her today. I think she's a terrible gamble at a shortest price. We'll see what prices they end up. I certainly wouldn't want to make the line, but she did finish second to Kentucky Oaks. Unproductive race that it's been.
Yeah, look, this 3-year-old filly division is crying out for somebody to do something. We haven't seen.
They've all done something, just not that quickly.
Well, sure, that's a good point. I worry about her as being one that possibly is a little bit better over a wet track because her 2 faster races on the dirt have been over surfaces with some moisture in them, but she doesn't have to be as far back as she was in a race like the Kentucky Oaks or even in the Busher here. She has shown that she has a little bit more ability to have some forward position when she was close to horses like Simply Joking as well as Bless the Broken in that Silver Bullet Day. And while the pace wasn't too fast in that race over the fairgrounds, she at least has shown some tactical ability in the past that I didn't think that the pace was going to compromise her as much as it might look like at first glance.
Well, I'm going to disagree with that.
Okay.
How is she going to get anywhere near the front? Anywhere near it. Okay, she's not as fast as other horses. The 8's inside of her and she's quicker. The 6 is inside of her and she's quicker. The 5 is inside of her and she's quicker. The 3 is certainly inside of her and quicker. The 1 is inside of her and quicker, and she's breaking from far outside. So I don't think you can play her hoping that she's close to the pace in here because I don't see it as even a remote possibility. I could be wrong.
I would say that it's an option were the pace not to materialize.
I don't think it is an option. I don't think there's any chance you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 horses, and she has a far outside post, getting the turn quickly, that are inside of her, that are quicker. For her to be anywhere forward, I think would be very, very unlikely. I could be wrong. I get it.
It's just a question how many of those 5 are going to go, and
they're going. I'm not. They're.
But I understand your
They're
point.
quicker. I didn't say they're going to the front. They're quicker. And I think in mile and eighth races, people have to leave enough to get themselves positioned. So as the widest of 6 potential horses that can be forward, it presents her with a sort of difficult scenario. So, you know, I feel like she's going to be bet off of a second, the Kentucky Oaks. And listen, it's been 6 months. She could easily improve the necessary number of points to be a player here, even on her dry track races. It's not like we got a lot of horses running 95s in this race.
There's no standout.
Yeah, I think position could be a bit of an issue for her, as we'll take a look at Q the Duck Boats beating Fully Subscribed. Q the Duck Boats, they took a shot. They tried synthetic with her last time. Okay, well, fortunately or unfortunately, that didn't work out. She was good here, but, you know, I'll tell you something. This race just fell apart at the end.
Yeah, she got a good trip.
Given how well Fully Subscribed ran last time, it's pretty clear that she needed a race off the layoff. And I'm going to hope that the Fully Subscribed we saw last time is the horse we're going to see in this race. And if we do, I think she's the fastest horse in this race. I don't know if I'm going to get the 4-1 that David made her on the line. It's Chad. You know, it's not Flavian, though. So maybe you have a chance to get it. I prefer Fully Subscribed here, but I think it's a hugely competitive race.
Yeah, I think this race is wide open.
You're against her. You don't like her.
I just thought that she's one that was going to be one of the shorter prices that perhaps has some room to improve. But look, that last race is certainly fast enough to be competitive with what we've seen from some of the others. This is a wide open group where you could make a big case for several of these.
I think Q the Duck Boats is very interesting in here. She's clearly improving for Bill, and they went up and tried synthetic. It didn't work out. That's fine. Here's one for you: synthetic to dirt. Bill Mott's 3 for 3. They're all sprinters, though, for what it's worth. I just think that's just a totally random sampling of horses. It's just kind of funny. They were all 2-to-1 shots. But I think that she's going to run fairly well in this race. What about our daydreaming girl? I mean, I don't want to bet horses off of one fig, but she's 8-to-1 morning line, and I know she got a good ride and trip in this race, but she ran.
It's not her only good race either. That's the thing, where she does have the race.
Well, it was a massive improvement.
It was an improvement, but she still has that race prior to that where she's finishing behind Dry Powder, who she ends up finishing behind yet again. And she was a big price in here, but I agree. She ran very well in the Cotillion, and I don't think that Kliko was ever winning the distaff. So
She didn't run that badly, though. She ran like
she wasn't
fifth
terrible.
or something. She didn't run.
Yeah.
She ran her figure.
I liked her a little bit, and she at least showed up with an effort that seemed similar to the kind of form that we had seen from her previously. I think it's completely possible this is a horse that's just been improving lately and improving at the right time of year, but I don't know. I kind of just want to see it again.
Yeah, I kind of do too. But, you know, the winner of the Tempted was the fastest last race buyer and paid $15 now, or 16 or something dollars. It's 7 to 1. And, you know, I know that the glitterati of Twitter like to knock buyer figures. They couldn't make a figure if somebody put a gun to their head, but they're somehow smarter than Andy Beyer. This is a horse that ran last time, and she ran against good horses. I mean, what price would Kliko be in here? What price would Dry Powder be in here?
Favorite.
So I think, you know, for an 8 to 1 shot, she does have some things to recommend. Let's talk about Lemon Zest, who could be the speed of the speed with Flavien, and so there she was. I mean, so there she was, comes in with credentials. She's second.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how good the
like her a
horse
little
that
more
beat her,
than
the
you, but
Torrey
yeah.
Pines, was. But this wasn't a terrible race. And the 3 is the potential speed here. It could be dangerous.
And I don't necessarily know how good either of these horses are, but I'm with you. I didn't want to leave this one out completely because she's at least been pretty consistent and is capable of having some forward position at this kind of distance where, look, she got a decent trip and still finished second at a big price in that Torrey Pines. But I saw that she still ran her race in this spot and was able to take over from Lemon Zest, and she was able to go ahead and go forward in
I
there.
worry about her wiring the field. We're going to run out of time. Sorry, I don't mean to move
no,
on.
go for it.
But also, I don't like being myself, but is she really impossible in
No,
here?
she's on the improve. She ran well last time, I thought, from just a little bit off of the pace. She was a big price. She has that one race sprinting that you can completely throw out when she was a 2-year-old. She also is very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think that she's going to be, if she's 6 to 1, to me, she's an underlay. But I can see the case for her, and she draws very well on the inside. Race number 10. I like the horse that was scratched. We'll take a look at the Weah. And I don't have a problem with Beach Bomb. I thought she ran fine in this race. Yeah. How is no-show Sammy Joe going to move up enough to win this race? Because she's just not run well enough to beat this field this year. She obviously should have won this race last year, but she's not the horse in 2025 she was in 2024.
No, and she needs to refine some form that would make her more competitive than we've seen from her this year. I agree with that completely. I don't think her Jenny Wiley was too bad of an effort, even though she did finish 7, beaten 4 lengths in that spot. But I agree, she has tailed off since then.
That was terrible. She didn't do any running.
It was a number that was similar to
yeah, because that's the nature of turf racing, because she ran in a strong field and she just sucked along on the rail.
She was just there.
Yeah.
Her last couple of races have not been anything like what we've seen from her in the past.
Any
I
of
will
them.
say she does have that one race over the yielding ground, going the 1.5 miles in the Glens Falls. I can throw that out. She was being forwardly ridden and aggressively placed in her 2 starts prior to that. And then last time getting the victory, they were able to sit off a little bit. It was a softer field. It was over at Laurel, and she was able to.
We're going to run out of time, so I get it. We get it. Beach Bomb's the horse to beat. I think that Alluring Angel improved with distance. I scratched into Beach Bomb and didn't want to have the favorite on top. So I moved my pick to Grayo. Who's had some bad trips in her races. She's been compromised by trips a couple of times. I don't know that she's going to stretch out, but if she does, she's fast enough to be competitive in here, and she won't be favored. So I took her. I just moved her on top because I didn't want to put the favorite on top with a scratch. We had so much fun, we almost ran out of time. Head over to Naira Bets, use the promo code BONUS200, and we will match the $200 of your initial deposit. Pick 6 carryover, $22,631. That'll start in race number 5. We've got a $5,000 hit and split at Naira Bets, playing pick 5. Opt in for that, potential free money. We've also got a $15 bonus if you're betting on Churchill and Delmar, 75 or more on either of them. You'll earn that $15 bonus. And last but not least, we are on from 11:30 to 1:48. Set your clock for 1:48, and then we'll be on YouTube and Naira Bets the rest of the day. Sarah, thank you. Thank you for watching. Chris Griffin's up next with a reprise of the Scratches and Changes.
You bet with Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Download the Naira Bets app to play today and get a $200 deposit bonus. Watch live horse racing. Get expert picks. Boost your bankroll with weekly promotions and hone your handicapping skills with exclusive tips and tutorials. Download the Naira Bets app now. Sign up now to claim your $200 deposit match bonus. You bet with Naira Bets.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Aqueduct. At this time, we ask that you please rise, remove your hats as we honor America with the playing of the national anthem. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the New York Racing Association and live racing here at Aqueduct. A Saturday afternoon, 10 races on today's card, where the main track is fast, turf is firm. Carryover in the pick 6 this afternoon. That'll start in race number 5 on today's program on this beautiful day in New York. Carryover, $22,631 starts in today's 5th race. A pick 6 carryover at Aqueduct this afternoon. Coming up, today's scratches and changes. In today's first race, start of the early pick 5. Scratch the 6, Sweetest Princess. And the 2 with Goggles On. Race 2, start of the early pick 4. The 1 is 1 pound over. Rider change on the 6. Make the jockey Jose Lescano. Jose Lescano rides a 6 in race 2. The 9 is a gelding and scratch the 10. Trust Issues. Also scratch the 11, Tis Marcus. Scratch the 12, Takes Charge Smiling. Scratch the 13, Loco Barrio. Scratch the 14, Big Hat Willie. Scratch the 15, Ridgewood Runner. Race 3, start of a mandatory pay pick 5. No show, trifecta superfecta wagering. Scratch the 3, Dream On. Scratch the 5, Light Forever. Race 4, start of a pick 4. The 3 is +2. Scratch the 4, Maggie's Palace. The 7 will wear a hood again. Race 5 marks the beginning of the pick 6. Today's 5th race, carryover, $22,631. In today's 5th race, rider change on the 5. Make the jockey Flavien Prat. The 9 with a cheek piece again. Scratch the 11, A Moment of Love. Race 6, started late pick 5. Race 6 is clear. Race 7, started late pick 4. The 4 is +1. Race 8. Rider change on the 3. Make the jockey Luis Rivera Jr. Scratch the 6. Speedster. Jockey change on the 13. Flavien Prat. Scratch the 14. Royal Riddle. Scratch the 15. True Adirondacker. And scratch the 16. Talk to Me, Jimmy. Race 9. Rider change. On the 8. Make the jockey Manny Franco. And race 10. Race 10. Scratch the 6. Immensitude. Scratch the 12. Burning Takes Charge. Scratch the 13. Purloin. Ten races on today's Saturday card. Horses on their way to the paddock here for race number 1. Start of the early pick 5. Race 1, early pick 5. And a pick 6 carryover. $22,631 starts in race number 5 on this Saturday afternoon program. Race 1, that early pick 5. And 10 races on a Saturday here at Aqueduct is next. Good luck.
You bet with Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Download the Naira Bets app to play today and get a $200 deposit bonus. Watch live horse racing. Get expert picks. Boost your bankroll with weekly promotions and hone your handicapping skills with exclusive tips and tutorials. Download the Naira Bets app now. Sign up now to claim your $200 deposit match bonus. You bet with Naira Bets.